Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tuhon and Son. I can say it's been a while, but it has been a while. And just to say to our loyal, dear listeners, we had 2 episodes that I spent a considerable amount of time editing about Dad's stories on the road with Black Sabbath and all that kind of stuff. And you should check it out. It's called Jump Kicking with Rock Stars on our YouTube page. And it features my friend Diamond Dean, and Dad tells a bunch of stories about how we got, apparently drunk with Black Sabbath, and if the Village People were listening.
He says that apparently, like he's not really sure if it's true.
I'm creating a mystery so then they can find out if it's true or not. Yes, it's true.
Okay.
Yes, it is true. But this is the happy birthday edition of Tuhon and Son. Philip, how old are you turning? How young are you going to be?
Oh, well, I was born in 1952, and since it's 2007, 2014, I'm getting closer every time. Since it's 2014, I've been around for 62 years as of Wednesday.
62 years. And so basically, you're going to be on your birthday. Are you going to be in France?
No, I'm going to be at the school teaching.
Okay.
And afterwards, we're going to go out. And then the next day, in the evening, I fly to France.
All right. And did you say, hey, France, I can't come yet, it's my birthday? Or normally would you be like, whatever, it's my birthday?
Yeah, I don't use my birthday as a reason to not enjoy myself.
That's a good line. All right, so getting to it, tell us about France. You've been to France before.
I was in France last year. I went to see some friends in Nantes. Nantes is a city in the western part in Brittany. They're really good guys, and I work out with them. And it's Frankie. Frankie Lecoq is the name of the guy who sponsors me there, and he's a really good guy. He's a good Cali man, and also Eric Lalannette, and he's actually based in Paris, but he lives in that part of the country, and they're really good guys, and of course they're all their guys, all their students. They're
all right. So just for all the shout outs Dad just made, hey everyone, if Dad just said your name, share this episode, because it's getting to the point where it's just like I'm really happy with our numbers. Our our Dan and Nasanto part 1 I think is approaching like 3,000.
All right.
And part 2 has approached a little bit of 1,000. So, guys, part 2 that's the creme de la creme. That's like he says emotional stuff about Bruce Lee that is just really touching, straight to the heart. And if you want to listen to this is a perspective episode, Dad. I'm using your birthday as an excuse to drop some truth bombs.
Okay.
We got some episodes that need more
I'm really
love.
old. Another truth bomb.
Yeah. We got some episodes that need more love. Now, Dad, take us back in time. What was your favorite birthday party? Or not even birthday party, because you're not one to say, hey, throw me a birthday party. What was your favorite birthday?
That's a problem. I remember them, of course. I think when I was, it was when I was about 7 or 8 years old. Where I lived out in Hudson, or actually in those days it was called Como. And
wow, really? I had no. Okay, I'm not interrupting you. Or just saying I literally had no idea that fact existed until this second.
I thought you were just being facetious.
No,
like,
wow.
I'm
seriously not.
Okay, well, no, but where I lived, we lived in a small village called Como, which was right next to Hudson, which was right next to Hudson Heights, and then sometime during our time there, or just a little after, it was all amalgamated into one town called Hudson.
Okay.
So. And it was all, the reason it was originally separated is because the town of Hudson wanted to have lights, and Como didn't want to have lights because we didn't have enough people. We just had one long main road, and Hudson had like real streets and people living in houses on them.
Oh, you mean lights on the street? I thought you meant electricity in general. I'm like, Dad,
no,
Dad, you're only 62. Stop making fun of yourself.
Anyway, so
2 towns over, this guy was holding a kite and got struck by lightning.
That was Ben. We'll just call him. No,
we didn't like Ben.
But it's okay. He made the $100 bill.
Okay, so you're 78 years old, and then what happened?
Yeah, well, no. My mom gave me a cape. I had a real thing. I wanted to be Prince Charming. Little God knows why, but that's what and it wasn't so much Prince Charming, but it was like it was like Sleeping Beauty was found by Prince Charming, and so that's what I wanted. I didn't really care about the girls in those days. I just wanted to wear that really neat suit they wore with a cape and that hat. And I got it on my birthday. And so I don't remember exactly what, but the thing about that was so neat is in those days, this was in the ancient times, What was it? Their snow didn't fall that year until later, because in those days I remember the snow being really, really high and really, really thick for most of the winter. But for this particular time, here it was, this 26th or 27th of November after my birthday, and hey, the snow hadn't fallen yet, so I was able to walk for about half a mile in the woods without without having to go home, because I was up to my toes in wet snow. Yeah. So it was but that, I don't know why that captivated me, that suit. It was just that
and
thing.
It was only a matter of time before the local boys found the kid playing in his Prince outfit, and hence why Philip had to learn how to fight.
Well, it's funny, Ryan, because I was into cosplay before cosplay was called cosplay.
And you haven't been in a cosplay since.
And I haven't been in a cosplay since. That's
but
correct.
that explains your skill of making me and Serena Halloween costumes when we were infants. I'm like, where did Dad learn how to do this? Sewing, cutting, this idea. Like, Mom's totally useless when it comes to that stuff. And
I'm laughing because it's true.
And many, stereotypical sitcoms would depict Mom would be a master of such skill. But no, you were there, and you would come home after work and make me my Power Ranger outfits. I'm just going to say that on your 62nd birthday, I appreciate you acquiring this, weird Prince wannabe stuff when you're a kid, because it benefited me greatly.
Well, it's funny because, you've graduated into purchasing your own cosplay uniforms and suits from China. I mean, that's amazing.
Oh, because they're fantastic.
No, I'm not putting myself down.
No.
I'm just saying you've grown to the point where, whatever we did for you those days impacted you such that now you're actually able to, you do this, you do it for Comic-Con. You do it an awful lot of places. So.
We've actually made a living. We've actually performed at children's birthday parties as Batman and Robin.
All right.
But those costumes were issued last year, and they're just fantastic. And the DVDs are out now, so there's kind of like a newer interest for that Adam West 66 show, where it's not as seen as we have enough dark Batman movies now where people can look at the other stuff and be like, there's enough Batman to finally enjoy this properly, as opposed to that being the only voice of Batman for so long that just they've ruined it. It's like, well, you can't ruin it's like Cracked Magazine, it's like just a lampoon. It's a parody. But tell me more about this Prince suit. So you got into cosplay. Did grandmother make you this suit?
No. This was available commercially in those days.
Oh, well, I can imagine. I mean, costume
but you have to understand.
But grandmother was an actress, and she was really into that kind of stuff. So she must have known where to look,
Well, in a store.
Yeah. No, but just in general.
Well, I know, but in Como right now, for you, if you live in Hudson and you want to go to Montreal, it's get in a car and half an hour later you're downtown.
Yeah.
In the days I lived there, which was early 60s, late 50s, if you wanted to go from Hudson, or in those days, Como, to Montreal, you had to drive along the main road, up Station Road to the highway. The highway was a 2-lane blacktop with people going in both directions on the same road. And then you'd go through Dorion and Vaudreuil, across the bridge, across Ile Perrot, through another bridge, through St. Anne de Bellevue, and then all of the towns on the West Island, because there was no Highway 40 in those days. And early in grade 3 and 4, or in grade 4 and 5, I went to a private school in Montreal called the Priory, and we used to drive that way, all the way through along the highway through Dorion, from Hudson. Every morning, my father would drive us. And then we would get to the corner, well, not the corner, but we'd get to where the old Highway 20 would meet St. Jacques, and we would crawl along St. Jacques, because this was the way everybody who lived in the West Island got to Montreal to work.
God, if I lived that far, I'd be like, kids, you're going to be raised by wolves.
We were. Anyway, but it was really interesting. And then, of course, this was in the times when we wouldn't get on the train, because in those days they had regular train leaving from Como.
It's fascinating, Dad, but what does this have to do with your little Fruity Prince outfit?
It wasn't a Fruity Prince outfit, but that's what we would have. And
okay, fine. It's a outfit you go to look and kiss out passed out girls.
But
that doesn't make it better, Dad.
No, but what happened, you see, if you wanted to buy anything, you had to go to what was now it's called the Bay, but in those days was Morgan's, and they had one at the Dorval Shopping Center, which is the same thing that's been there like forever. They've updated it from time to time, but it was, this was the place that you go through. There was no Fairview. There was nothing else to go to.
Wow, so Dorval Shopping Center has been there this whole time.
Yeah.
Wow. They just got a Walmart about a year ago.
And
it's a painted Kmart, eh? It used to be red, and now it's blue.
Yeah, but it wasn't a Kmart. It was a Zellers.
Right. It used to be, I don't know.
It's okay.
Everything not
when you
Walmart.
live at the bottom of the pool, you live at the bottom of the pool.
Oh. I've seen a little tangent about Dorval Cinema. Jason and I, when the superhero movies first started coming back out and being hysterical, like Spider-Man 1, all the new X-Men's, Hulk and all that, Jason, my best friend, Season Zero co-host, and I would go to Dorval to kind of beat the crowd. Because, that cinema wasn't necessarily, it had the potential of getting full, but like theaters downtown, that was a guaranteed like hour wait in line and all that stuff. So
well, it's like Tuesday at the Paramount, or not the Paramount, but the
AMC.
At
The Forum.
No, the Scotiabank Cinema.
Yeah,
what they used to be called the Paramount. Anyway, but nowadays, I mean, if you go on a Tuesday.
It's Madhouse.
Yeah, it's Madhouse. I mean, there's you have to get there early to get a ticket.
But this is Spider-Man 1 I'm talking about.
I know.
Like some kids skipped school that day. Don't do that.
Do what?
Move your mouth on the microphone.
I'm not doing it.
Some kids skipped the...
It's you.
Okay.
You're doing it, Ryan, not me.
Okay. Some kids skipped the last 2 periods of class after lunch to go like watch Spider-Man.
We did that for Star Wars.
Oh, Dad. That's awesome. So I'll finish my stupid story so we could ask you about something cooler, because Star Wars, that's awesome. All right, so anyway, they end up skipping school, and like the guy driving ended up waiting for his girlfriend to get out of school anyway, so all the kids got detention, and the rest of us who waited through the last 2 periods, which was computer class, which was pretty good way to, it wasn't like it was trigonometry or anything like that. It was computer class. And back then, it's just like, make this box, type something in it. Yeah. So anyway, we saw Spider-Man, and we were holding hands like bros, and yeah, I don't know. And now there's been like 3 superhero movies a year, and now like we're wonderfully jaded. They're like, oh, another hero movie, but no, I never got tired of them. So you skipped school to see Star Wars, Dad?
Yeah, that's what happened back in that day.
Okay, so you got to take me back in time into this place. Nothing was like Star Wars before it, really. Like, there was some stuff.
You have to understand that Star Wars, nobody, when it got here, it was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But we'd all seen kind of like the movies that were
what it was based off of, like Flash Gordon and
the Flash Gordon things, or the whatever they were. But basically what they did is they I guess whoever wrote that, when
George Lucas.
Yeah, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg worked on this
George
thing.
Lucas.
Oh, just George Lucas?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. When George Lucas worked on this thing, he had taken the story from those Japanese samurai movies.
Yeah.
And then he transposed them into
Space.
The space. I don't need this crib note thing, Ryan. I can do it. I just like to mumble a bit. Anyway.
Clearly you love what you do.
Anyway, but it was really neat. And even the movie, the music that they used was that like, dun, 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 dun. It was very much like what they used in the Japanese movies whenever they would do it. It was lots of like dark music, and, you'd see the bad samurai coming along up against the good samurai, and you knew that something horrible was going to happen, and they had this.
So what's the samurai equivalent of Darth Vader? I don't know, some guy with a big ass.
Dark samurai.
Yeah.
I don't know. The way that the empire was, you see, the all these old samurai movies were based on, before, even though they had an emperor in Japan, they had a shogun, which is like the military governor, and these shoguns used to basically run the place. The emperors were just put on the side, and they would have, even though Japan was always a country pretty united, they all had people who were trying to rule things. So they had this bunch of daimyos. A daimyo was like a lord, and he would be running this part, and this other daimyo would run this part. And so then they would have these shoguns who would always be working these what's it called? These strategies for uniting different groups together. And so they would try to control, because if you could can take over control, you wouldn't ever be the emperor, but you could be the shogun, which is better than being the emperor, because the emperor was a powerless piece of poo-poo who nobody ever listened to, but everybody adored like crazy. Whereas the shogun, he was a power behind the throne, so he could actually tell the emperor to shut up, and often did. But yeah, but it was just that we'd heard all about it. It's like this guy George Lucas was going to put together this space movie based on this stuff from the samurai films.
Oh, so there's a precursor to the movie where basically like that information was available.
Yeah, but we didn't have the internet, so there wasn't.
Through what means though? Like, how did
we had television?
Okay,
we had radio.
So
we had some newspapers
So
occasionally.
he did interviews prior to the movie.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But, because the thing is, like, these guys weren't famous yet, right?
Yeah.
I think Lucas had something to do with that movie with that Ron Howard did.
Drive-In.
Yeah, what was it called?
Drive-In something.
Yeah, Drive-In Miss Daisy. No, that was.
I like how we're both getting dementia at the same time. It shows we're in sync. Oh, American Graffiti.
And that's what I said.
American Graffiti, based on the success of American Graffiti, the Beach Boys actually had a second career because of the soundtrack. Like, people actually were digging that retro type of surf rock, and the Beach Boys have like 3-4 songs on the soundtrack, and as a result of the American Graffiti selling that, they got this second wind, and all of a sudden, like, they didn't have to pretend to be a 70s band anymore. They just owned up to their
60s roots.
Yeah. And they're like, finally, we can shower again.
Cut our hair.
Based on the success of that, Happy Days came about. On the success of American Graffiti, it was a less like sexualized, less swearing, less action-oriented thing. But they even got Ron Howard to star in Happy Days.
And they got to jump the shark.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Now, the expression jump the shark, I just want to say right now, I only have understood this expression for about 3 months. And it just, for those of you out there who don't know what jump the shark means, it means when you've done everything until you can't think of anything else, and you literally have an episode where Fonzie jumps over a shark because you're out of ideas.
On a surfboard.
So it's like,
wearing his leather jacket and jeans.
And you can never go back once you do this. Everything has kind of gone to hell. So it's like, I guess we really jumped the shark on this one.
Yes.
Dad, I think we jumped the shark on this episode. I said that about our first episode, so we're 24 episods in now.
Yeah, if we keep admitting that we've jumped the shark, we're immune.
Well, now we jumped like 23 sharks, So we're really good at jumping. All right, so years back, you're 62 years old. What do you look at when you look back on your life? You're like, hey, I remember.
Actually, I interject.
Hit me with your interjection.
Well, you're asking me what was my most memorable birthday, and actually, my most memorable birthday, other than getting that suit when I was a little kid, was actually when I was 21. When I was 21, I gave myself a birthday present. I joined the style of Kajukembo that I practice. And I'd already known these guys for 3 or 4 years, but at 21 years old, I officially joined the school, and I was accepted, and I was officially put back from black belt in this Kempo style that I'd done into white belt. And everybody goes, wow, how could you handle that? I said, wow, because I didn't think I was very good anyway, so it didn't matter. I just say, okay, great. I'm a white belt. Fabulous. Now, at least you think the same thing about me that I do. And then as I got better, I felt that these guys, when they would give me information or ranking, that it would be a little bit more, I won't call it legitimate, but a little bit more acceptable to me.
Okay, especially from their ranks. If you're just walking into their school, like, being a drummer, but you want to be a guitar player, like, you're going to start as a rookie, you're going to play the rookie notes.
Yeah, but a lot of it...
you don't get to play any solos yet.
Yeah, well, a lot of schools nowadays, anyway, what they do is something called cross-ranking.
You're Ron Wood. Sorry.
I'm right Wood.
You're right Wood. I just like...
Anyway,
I'm drinking tea.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so you're saying...
No, but what happened... what happens nowadays is that if you go from one school to another, a lot of people will just say, oh, you're a black belt in whatever art. Well, I'm going to make you a black belt in my art. And I really don't like that, because it just makes it makes a mockery of all the things we've done. I mean, it's like saying, oh, you've got a PhD in physics? Well, I'll make you a PhD in nuclear medicine.
Yeah, that's like saying, like, if one style specialized in getting kicked in the crotch like 50 times a day. And that's how, for some reason, you progress. If you did Tai Chi before that and you got like a black belt and something like that, is there belts in Tai Chi?
No, but I can understand what you
Let's
mean.
say there was.
Okay.
Just because I'm not as versed in this language as you are. But let's say you get to walk on and all the guys with the ice packs on their nuts go, what?
He can't be a black belt. He has his black and blue balls and what?
He needs his blue balls before his black belt. Now spread them. All right, so those are two pretty cool birthdays. Well, all my favorite birthdays involve you somehow because you always made my dreams come true.
Oh my gosh!
Actually, I don't know. I've always kind of liked Christmas more than my birthdays because my birthday's kind of like, I don't know. I think things tend to go more wrong on my birthday.
Well, that only happened
because I throw myself out. I throw myself out there a lot. Like I some people just like, I don't care if anyone likes me. Complete opposite. I'm like, I'll throw a big birthday party in a big place, and if not a lot of people come, it sounds so stupid, but I'm just like, oh man. But it's like, and then you look at it, you're like, yeah, but the people who did come are amazing, and you should really appreciate the fact that anyone is willing to come see your stupid self. My birthdays, best birthdays I'm trying to remember. I do remember significantly. Just my birthday was the day that I got all the Power Rangers stuff. That was right around the time when I got all the Megazord and the Dragon Zord. That was a cool birthday. And I remember that was a year prior. I think the year after we ended up a smaller group of us went to pizza. But at McDonald's, when you're a kid and you rent out the party room and there's a ballroom upstairs, that's like the go-to birthday party experience for a kid in the 90s. Now I don't think people trust people anymore to keep pedophiles out of there or something like that because they just don't seem to have any of those McDonald's with ball pits anymore.
I don't know if that's a good phrase. I don't have a ball pit. I have a ball
plenty
sack.
Of ball pits. Yeah, that's a great name for a gay club. The ball pit.
Yeah, well, I think though that unfortunately a lot of these places, but a lot of these places will hire those kind of people, and so they're just worried that that'll happen. So
there should be a club called A-Holes, but with a W. A-Hole New World.
You're invited.
Come on in. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so you're going to France soon. You excited about it?
Yeah, actually, I am. It's normally Ruth comes with me. Ruth, your mother, my wife. Normally she comes with. This year she isn't coming because she was in Spain earlier this year, going to a friend of hers' wedding. So I'm just going to go in for a few days. I'm going to go from Thursday, leave Thursday night at 7 o'clock flight, get there around 11 o'clock in the morning, transferring in Amsterdam, and get to Nantes, which is where I'm going, which is on the west coast of France, and then I'll leave on Monday morning and come back and be ready to teach on Monday night. But it's just because
so you're going to be back on Monday for sure?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Because I'm going to tell you right now, your birthday present, and it's why you have to be back in town on December 5th. I'm telling you right now. Have I told you, honestly, what it is yet?
No, you haven't.
And Mom hasn't blown it?
No, she hasn't.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I am.
Because Mom, around Christmas time, I'm amazed. She could fool a polygraph test. Like, she could pass a polygraph test with her ability to bullshit me around Christmas time. Like, holy crap. Like, I remember when Nintendo 64 came out, I was convinced that I was not getting it. There was so much speculation, like, am I not? That was one of my favorite Christmases. And it was all because of Mom's ability to lie. Okay, Dad, for your birthday on December 5th, I am taking you to see The Book of Mormon. That is the Broadway play that Trey Parker and Matt Stone wrote. Yeah, so I'm taking you to a Broadway play.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are we going to Broadway?
Yeah, well, we're going to Place des Arts.
Okay.
It's Broadway enough. Yeah. Are you good with that?
I'm good with that. That's on Friday.
It's a Wednesday.
I'm thinking, well, no, December 5th is a Friday. December 1st is a Monday.
Then December 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I know there's a difference
Yeah,
between
yeah.
those numbers.
Are you actually, you want to go then? If you don't want to go, I'll find someone else. Like, do you actually want to go?
I will go.
Okay, because it's Team America Live, you know, like, like
Where the wooden puppets having sex.
okay, I'll cut most of this awkward stuff out because you're like me, Dad. You're like, honestly, you're like, Mom and Serena are just so reactive to whatever happens to them. It's just like, bam, loud, volume, expression. And I must drive you and Mom crazy when you kill yourselves to get me these presents and I kind of like play it cool. Trust me, inside I'm always freaking out. Always. But for some reason, even though only 2 people are watching, it's as if I am being watched.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, I have to admit, there have been times when we have bent over backwards to find you that thing, that special, extremely important thing that you've wanted. And okay, thanks.
Oh, man. Let's just take this to the people right here. Philip Gelinas, my father, Tuhon Philip Gelinas, is very hard to buy for because that has a very specific taste. He really loves technology. He loves gadgets, loves gizmos. Has things that he's used twice and has never used again, but there's something titillating about the way he'll get it, like those goggles that you used to watch your
Okay, well, you know what happened?
videos.
I actually used those quite a bit when I was on the airplanes.
Okay.
And stewardesses used to come along and tap me on the shoulder and say, "You can't wear those glasses on the plane," because they had no idea what they were. I mean, I don't know what they thought they were, but they were basically like a video screen. This was before. Now and then afterwards, they put screens on every seat, so it got to the point where, well, never mind.
Okay. Would
you like them?
All
Wayne?
right. Well,
I tried giving them to you.
Anyway,
remember?
long story short, you're hard to buy for.
Okay.
And Serena bought you this iPad for your birthday last year, and it brought you to tears. And I'm like, I got you this sock, I guess. I think I got you headphones or something. I don't know, but it's just kind of the point where it's just like, what does Dad want that he didn't already get himself? Is that you don't trust anyone to provide for your needs? Where does that come from? I guess you're kind of you grew up with 3 brothers, a sister, and so there's 5 of you. And let's be honest here. Your dad and Mom weren't together anymore at some points.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you? How was it? Like, you're a real self-sufficient type of guy, and you're like the provider of our family when we were growing up. You always managed to make sure we had everything we needed. But you kind of weren't waiting around for anyone to do anything for you. Like, did this happen when you were a child that you just had to kind of like fend for yourself and like get things done because it wasn't going to happen otherwise?
Well, no, my mother helped quite a bit doing these things, but it was just that, well, as you say, my parents weren't together. I mean, I think I was about 13 when my father and my mother split up. Even though they were pretty consistent as parents. I mean, even though they weren't a couple anymore, they always, did any of these major things we had to do. They did together. But it's like anything, you get to the point where you realize that, hey, if you want something done, if you want something, you kind of have to go and do it yourself. And I mean, I'm not saying that I was this great doer of all things, but I just realized that if there was something I really wanted, I had I believe in an old joke, best place to find a helping hand is at the end of your arm. And that's been a way of I'm doing it. Unfortunately, that also means I don't delegate responsibility as well as I should. And I kind of take too many things on my own shoulders. But I mean, at the same time, that comes from the idea that, well, hey, if I tell somebody that I want them to do something, and I'm not paying them, there's not a real high level of motivation for them to do these things. Mm-hmm. So, people say, oh, well, that's just leadership. I said, yeah, but it's also leadership to go off and make sure they're done by doing them yourself. So.
Yeah, a real leader just doesn't say, this way, follow me, and then never look back to make sure anyone's there.
Yeah, well, there's that. So, and also, you get to the point where you realize that, when I started teaching martial arts, there was, if you have a bunch of beginners in front of you, that's what they are, beginners. And the only way they're going to become better is by seeing somebody doing it. And so I'm not saying it was me, but you have to go off and be ready to do things yourself.
Yeah. Okay. And how does that translate into you being a total asshat and never telling your kids what you want for your freaking birthday?
Well, that's part of it because when
You're supposed to laugh at that part. Now that feels awkward. There you go. There's that.
laugh track.
Laugh track. Yeah.
But
is there a part of you that trusts that we're incompetent or something? And we can't get them?
No. I mean, I'm just really. I just don't pursue my. I don't know. I've received a lot of stuff that has been awesome. I mean, every time I have a birthday, I think it's awesome. It's just, it's so. I don't like putting an awful lot of faith in the happiness being based on the stuff I get. Because if you base your happiness on the stuff you get or don't get, then what happens? I'm happy because you gave me stuff, but you didn't give me enough stuff, so I'm not as happy as I should be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to be that person.
Okay. Yeah, that's where my generation went down the tube with all this Nintendo for Christmas crap. Yeah. But it's, for what it's worth, my Christmas band, the Holiday Hooligans, we have a song called All I Want for Christmas is Nintendo 64 based on the sentimentality I was talking about earlier. So, I'm committed. That was a long time. That was like 17 years ago. So, yeah. And by the way, everyone who goes to Gamma, the Academy of Mixed Martial Arts, Philip Gelinas' own school, montrealmartialarts.com, we're having our Christmas party at the same night that my Christmas band, the Holiday Hooligans, is playing Masbar in NDG. And if you remember...
And they're really good. As a band, they are awesome.
Oh, thank you, Dad. Yeah, they're one of the few musical projects I haven't been embarrassed about, and they're a great band despite the fact I'm in it. Sometimes I just look around and there's a bass player who's Johnny B who'll spend hours and hours perfecting his craft, and we have a new song where it's just slapping bass and going all over the place, and I'm just thinking, wow, if I sit down and practice, I'll probably be as good as that in about 20 years. I guess there's a part of my brain that just said, I know enough, and move on to the next thing. But my guitar player, Joey Fenario, just the son of the playwright,
David
Fenario. He's
Balconville.
What?
He wrote a play called Balconville.
Yeah, Balconville. I have not seen it,
others.
but I've been told he's wonderful. Anyway, he's one of the most natural guitar players, just an exquisite human being. The drummer, John Erskine, is a human metronome and such a team player. Like when we first started the band and we had to bring stuff, he was the one who was getting all the microphones, mixers, just such a smart whiz kid that the earlier interpretations of the Holiday Hooligans to now is just the Holiday Hooligan shows are finally fun. And I'm so used to having to be stressed with the old lineup because half the lineup, God bless them, were just, they had lives, They had schedules, they had children. And, I have to work. Oh, I have kids. You can't really argue against that. But we're in a great place right now, and we're playing a Masbar for this lineup's 4th year in a row. And it just feels fantastic.
And we're having the Gamma Christmas party the same night.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same place.
Am I going on too long about that
No,
kind of
not
stuff?
at all. I'm just figuring that you haven't mentioned the Christmas party.
I did before, though.
I know, you led in with it once, but I figured I should talk about it again.
I should mention it 50 times. I should be like, say it like Candyman in a mirror, and then it'll appear. Not really, I don't know. But long story short, Gamma Christmas party. It's a $5 donation.
Wear our ruby slippers and go back to Kansas.
It's a $5 donation, and you get to come in, and we're gonna play a lot, and we're gonna play classic Christmas songs done with some balls and some original
Christmas
stuff,
balls,
and some fun covers like Aerosmith and AC/DC and Rolling Stones. And one of my favorite gigs, I was watching it today. And the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because one of my favorite gigs we did was in the boxing ring. We played the boxing ring twice. But the
boxing ring is the one at my school, by the way.
Yeah, but the first year we did it, we had been a band for like 3 weeks. We had been together only a couple of weeks, and we threw together some original songs. We were playing some covers, and we were just kind of like, it was a testing ground. It's just like, will this work? And then being in the boxing room was just really fun. And then at the second time we played, the Gamma had moved to the new place, and that was a really good one, I think. Yeah. I think that boxing ring show was great. And I got out of the ring, and I was singing to you, and we learned Rolling Stones' "Miss You" specifically because we were playing that show.
Mm-hmm. I remember that show.
Yeah. The other guys kind of knew it, but I'm like, we gotta play some Stones for my pop. Yeah. So that was a good time.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
There was I mean, the thing is,
Another one of your birthday parties.
another birthday party. It was a birthday/Christmas party at the end of November. Yeah. No. And it's funny. I mean, a little story about. I met David Fernario once. I went to school with a guy by the name of Neil Affleck.
Okay.
And his father was a brilliant architect, a Canadian architect. I'll call him Mr. Affleck because he was Neil's father. And
just to be clear, not related to Ben Affleck.
no, not
right?
Ben.
No.
Well, I don't know. I don't know
maybe.
that for sure. But
The Affleck bloodline runs strong. It does.
They have an afflection.
They have Goodwill Huntings and
anyway,
and Benefers.
No, but what happened is that architect Affleck, I think he was teaching at some university, and David Fernario, who had sort of lived something of a hippie lifestyle, was talking about what it was like to try and survive on the streets in Montreal in those days. And he was talking about when he had, what they used to do is they used to go to apartment buildings and have big suitcases, and they would go along the hallway because people used to have their milk delivered, and they would take all the milk. But that was in those days. That just seemed like a really cool thing to do, and so I was there with my buddy Brian Charles and Neil Affleck, and just sort of sitting there listening to this guy who eventually became a legend. It was really, it's kind of neat to see somebody that you're very, very impressed by, and wonder why these stories that he's spinning haven't been told, and then you hear, well, he's being a writer and he's doing some stuff with either he's workshopping some stuff, and then all of a sudden, boom, he explodes. So it's
Great.
It's kind of neat.
Awesome. Well, anyway, his son Joey is very, very talented.
All right.
And brought the band level up to a level that is uncomfortably good. I wish I sang better to justify his groovy guitar licks.
Oh, well.
We just got to say this dad, who give a message to the people out there that are like, wishing you a happy birthday on Facebook and might check this out. What do you want to tell them?
Well, I just want to say thank you very much, everybody. I mean, happy birthday to you whenever it's yours. It's it's kind of it's a little awkward being the center of attention at times, but at the same time, it's very heartfelt, and you really feel good that people care.
We have a show starring you, and there's been like 24 episodes. So literally, there's like, if someone chose so, they would have you as the center of attention for 24 straight hours.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Yeah. Hence the podcast and not a vodcast. Like, for some reason, when there's a video camera on you, you just turn into a different person. But I was hearing you do phone interviews, and I'm like, oh crap, that's witty.
Well, I think I just have to. I have to get out of. I think I look upon. I was reading a book today, and they were talking about how people have phobias, and I think I have a phobia about public speaking, because as soon as I start thinking about it, it becomes overwhelming, and I start shutting down. Yeah. But if I am able to just go past it, it works out better.
Yeah. Yeah. I prefer only speaking in public. That's the difference. I get bummed. Only 2 people are listening to me. That sucks. All right, and now it's time of the show where we give some love to our Facebook page, proven once and for all that we actually pay attention to it.
And have one.
I pay attention to it constantly. It is a facebook.com/TuhonandSon1. I don't know why we had to do Tuhon and Son 1, the number 1, but we did. So facebook.com/TuhonandSon1. All right, so this person named Kevin W. Hand said, I was just listening to your interview with Dan and Asanto on YouTube. Great job. I met Dan and Richard in 1979 at the former Cali Academy in Torrance while I was in the Air Force. I've taken 2 seminars with Dan and 1 with Richard since then, as well as many FMA seminars, which is one of my favorite arts ever. Thanks for sharing the interviews. Well, thank you for saying that, Kevin. Because
thank you, Kevin.
When we were recording that interview with Danny, like when you're listening to it and stuff like that, and you're just like, when it comes to the martial arts world, what Danny says actually really matters sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like lightning in a bottle. You listen to it and you're like, oh man. Especially when he was talking about how he showed Bruce Lee the nunchucks, and Bruce Lee thought nunchucks were stupid. And then and Dan's like, come on, just try him out. I think you'll like him. Then the next thing you know, they're in all the movies. Kato from the Green Hornets got nunchucks. So moments like that, if you guys want to listen to that, Tuhon and Son, an interview with Dan and Asanto, parts 1 and 2. Like I said before, give 2 some love because it is just wonderful. All right, let's see what else we got here. This is a really sweet one. I thought that was pretty sweet. This is a comment on Dad Sabbath / Jump Kicking with Rockstars Part 1. And this guy named Jeremy McCann said, Tuhon and Ozzy, 2 of my favorite superheroes. Aw.
I know Jeremy. He's a great guy.
Yeah. So why do you think he thinks you're a superhero?
I don't know, but he's a guy that actually nominated me for that Canadian Black Belt Hall of Fame a few years ago.
Well, geez, he should be your superhero, yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, but what happened is that he called me up and said, hi, you got an amazing CV. Can I nominate you for the Canadian Black Belt Hall of Fame? And I went, okay, where's the hidden camera? Because I know they're just laughing at me right now, right? And it turns out that this guy was very serious, and he nominated me, and all these people called up and suggested to them that they should put me in, which struck me as really odd. And then early January of 2013, he called me up and told me that I was in. It was really weird. But anyway, Jeremy is 100% responsible for that. I mean, of course, they had to select me, but it was, I see myself as being one of those very dark horse people at the edge of everything. I don't travel in the mainstream. So when people even remember my name, it's kind of a shock.
All right. Well, thank you very much for writing that, Jeremy. So on Tuhon and Son, we generally like to keep, we appreciate when people leave comments. We like interacting with people. Another episode I truly love and I really think you guys would like is the interviews we did with Sonny Cison, who talks a lot about FMA and the bladed hand, but also the fact he was a stuntman on the Power Rangers. And those people who aren't interested in the Power Rangers, this episode is beyond that. It's just, if you have interest in what's life like as a stunt man, that's kind of cool. He's got great stories. He's got a great story that his friend told him about interactions with Steven Seagal. Really fascinating stuff. All right, everybody. So that's Tuhon and Son. Like I said, thank you for listening. Thanks for listening. Thank you for writing on our Facebook page. Thank you for making those video comments. We really do appreciate it. I am Ryan Stick-Gelina.
I am Philip Tuhon Gelinas.
You can catch Dad in France if you hear this on the date this comes on the internet, which is Wednesday the 26th.
My birthday.
Yep, his actual birthday, 2014. And there's still some time to scramble up to France from wherever you are and go rock out with Dad. All right, everybody. Good night and vive la France.
All right, vive la France.